Hi, this is Trinesha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about miracles, signs, and wonders. Okay, this is probably going to be called wonders, but for some reason, earlier today I was going through this thing where I was just like, so I did a speech earlier today. I did this speaking engagement, and I haven't spoke out in a while, so my nerves, like I was so nervous before I did it, and then I was kind of like, okay, well, I know I'm gonna let God lead me so I can say the things that I want to say or that I need to say so that whatever he needs me to say, not what I want to say, but anything that he needs for me to say so that it can benefit other people. And so I said the things that I needed to say. I was going to elaborate more, but I didn't. And so one of the things that the speaker, the person who I spoke at the event said was, hey, even though because someone that spoke before me, they spoke a little longer in their slot or whatever. So when it was my turn to talk, I was like, okay, well, I don't have that much time. So let me go ahead and cut it back so that way it could fit into, what we were doing with the program for some of the people in the community. And so I was like, so I was like, okay, they were like, just, don't worry about the time, even though, there's a time slot and stuff like that. Just whatever it is that you need to say, just say everything, like make it longer because, although everything that you said was, informational, was good, like they wanted more elaboration, which I would have done normally. And so I was like, okay, so the next time I do another speaking engagement, I will elaborate more and I'll make sure like every time someone gives me like, you know, some sort of constructive criticism, it really does help me become a better person. So I'm not the type of person who's like, oh no, I'm perfect. I do this great. I don't need any advice. Any advice that I can get, anything that can improve me, improve upon me and make me a better person. I want to learn and I want to know so that I can become better. I can't become better without constructive criticism. Am I saying that I want people to just like the haters to come along and then just say a whole bunch of negative things to make themselves feel better? No, nobody wants that. But if it's someone who truly does care about my well being or someone who really does want to see me win and they're saying, hey, this, and this is something that I think will improve, your life or it will improve your speech or it will improve whatever else, I'm willing to take that advice and listen to what it is and then implement it in the way that it's needed for my life. Because how else can I become better without constructive criticism? How else can I grow and develop and become, fine tune my skills without learning the things that I need to improve upon? And so I want to make sure that I'm being super intentional about growing in any area of my life that I need to become better at. And it's funny because today I did my swim class, which you're like, but your skin looks like it just popped back into place. You don't look like a zombie today. First off, thank you for saying that. And secondly, that's because I used I'm gonna say the wrong name, but there's like this skin cream stuff that's really, really thick. It's supposed to be for your hands. I think it's supposed to be for extremely, extremely dry skin, not just like the Vaseline thing. This thing is thick. It's real thick. Like, sorry. You probably have to rub it in for like a good 5 minutes for it to really go into your skin. So I put that on my face and it was all white. I looked like a ghost. And then then I patted it with like a paper towel or whatever and I made sure that it was nice and, good. And then I used this I think it's called a primer. Yeah. So it's a primer before you put your makeup on. I used the primer and I squeezed like a little bit and I rubbed it into my skin. And when I rubbed it into my skin was like I don't know how to describe it but when I go swim in it, I literally look like a zombie. Like my skin is like literally look like I look like the Walking Dead. And then like it takes a little while like with moisturizer and the more that my skin I start to talk and do different things, the life comes right back to my face. Oh Oh my goodness. But of course I would reference like some sort of horror movie or something like that in this. But yeah, so that's why my skin looks different than that one video because I literally was super intentional. Like, listen, you're not about to catch me slipping on this moisturizer today. So I did. I put on that like it's like a dermatologist tested. Like this one, you don't need like a prescription for it, but it's definitely super strong. And so I made sure I use that, and I really like intentionally like you know I spent a good 5 minutes massaging that into my skin. And then the primer that I have has electrolytes in it. And then it also has some other benefits for your skin as well. So I used that. And then I went in and I did like a little bit of concealer with a not I kind of did the full face. I did like a quick like and then I went like this. I didn't really go in and like do the highlight T-zone. I didn't do all of that. I literally just put on some eyeliner. I put on some concealer and then I did a quick wipe of my face and that's it. That's why I kind of look, I guess I always look like this, but it's just like you can see my brows are like, oh, they're really standing out. It's because of the concealer trick for real. And that's why my eyes like look more shaped because I have eyeliner on instead of just regular. And then I have mascara, but of course, you can't really see it unless I get right on the screen, unless I put on like false lashes or something. And so I don't have false lashes on today. I usually never wear them. I think I had one video that I did maybe 6 months ago or something. I was going to like this thing for my birthday or something, and did I? No, I didn't post that video because it was on my phone and I couldn't get it wouldn't upload or for some reason. And so, but I do have one video. Oh, I went to my aunt's birthday party. That's what it was. And I think that was about 6, 7 months ago or so. No, it had to be longer. It had to be like a year ago. A year? Oh, wow. Man, time waits for nobody. Like for real. When you're younger, like when I was younger, I would always be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait until I'm 13. I can't wait until I'm 16, the sweet 16. I can't wait until I'm 18. Then I can do everything." Then you realize you can do almost everything. Then you turn 21 and it's like, I can kind of do almost everything, but there's still one thing you got to wait till you're 25 to be able to do. And so then you turn 25 and then your life just, I mean, it just rushes by. Like sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be like, if I didn't work Monday through Friday or whatever, I probably wouldn't know. And then even sometimes then I'm like, is it Tuesday, Thursday? And then I'm like, no, it's got to be like Monday or Tuesday. And I'm like, what did I do yesterday? Oh yeah, yesterday I was in church. That's what reminds me it's Monday. And then sometimes it'll be Wednesday and I think it's Tuesday and I'm like, I got Bible study today. And then Thursday comes and it's like Friday Eve. I'm the Monday person that annoys everybody because I'm about that Monday life for real. Like I'll go in the office and I'll be like, hey, good morning, happy Monday. And people probably cut off this video right then because they were like, listen, I can't hang or kick it or be cool or support anybody that's a Monday person. But listen, I heard this quote somewhere before, and they said something about if you're waiting for a day to start living your life, or if you're letting a day define how your day is going to be, then every single one of your days is going to hang on the. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly how it went, but it was something like if you allow that day to control your mood, then you're always going to need to rely on something else to make you happy. And I was like, you know what? And then also on top of that, it says something like every day is a blessing. Somewhere within that whole sentence, that whole spiel, it was like, and every day is a blessing. And then I was like, that's so true. If I wake up Monday morning, regardless if it's Monday or not, I'm waking up grateful because God didn't have to give me another opportunity to start my week off at work. He could have just been like, all right, you're gone. You did the things you needed to do. Get on up out of here. But he still continued to give me grace and mercy because he allowed me to breathe in and out and to be able to continue to live my life. Every day that he's given me is another opportunity for me to do better, to be better, to improve upon myself, to be, giving all honor and glory to God. It's another day for me to learn a new skill. It's another day for me to help somebody else, to speak life into somebody else. It's another day for me to serve in my purpose in another way, in maybe a way that I haven't before, or in the same way, but helping someone else every single day. So whether it's Monday, it's Thursday, I mean it's Tuesday, and or whatever day it is, I'm gonna live it like it's Friday. Every single time I wake up, I'm gonna be thankful and grateful, because God can't bless me with more if I'm not a good steward of the few things he's given me. And I'm not saying few like I'm discrediting all of the amazing things that God does. I'm saying it because although, like, let's say I'm at this level and God's given me this, I need to be grateful and thankful for where I am right now. If God is ever going to give me anything else, if I'm ever going to improve or go to another level in life, because why would God ever take me to another level if I'm already not appreciating what I have? I need to be able to appreciate this so that when he gives me more, I can appreciate that even more. And more, I can appreciate that even more. I have to be the type of person, and I believe, and I'm sorry to speak for everybody, but I really think that, and I don't mean sorry like I'm apologizing. I mean, like, I don't mean to speak, you know, or overstep for everybody's life, or like just suggest that this is what you want for your life. But I really think one of our biggest flaws as human beings is always thinking about what's next and not appreciating where we are. We could want more. We can, I might want to be a billionaire or a multimillionaire. And I know people are like, okay, which one? I might, aspire to have things in my life, but I want whatever God wants for me. And while I'm in whatever season I'm in, while I have whatever it is that I have in my life, I want to be content with what it is that God's given me, because he didn't have to give it to me. I could be in a totally different situation, and even in that situation, I still need to be thanking him. We all need to be appreciative of where we are. And it's nothing wrong with wanting more. We don't have to live in this broke mind Christianity mindset that we used to hear about, like, oh yeah, I'm helping all these people and I can barely do this. Listen, you're gonna be able to do it exceedingly. You're gonna be able to do a lot of things, because my God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all else that you could ever ask, think, or imagine. Like, I don't think like I know. Like, sometimes we act like we don't know God. And we'll be out here acting like the people of the world. Like, oh, I don't have this. Woe is me. We're having a pity party. We really feeling sorry for ourselves. We mad because we didn't get the thing that we wanted. When we know, we know that that thing was not good for us. Like, there has been at least one or two guys in my life that I have been like, God, you know, it would be so awesome if I could be with this man. And God is like, that ain't it. Like, what are you doing? That ain't it. Like, get it together. And I'm like, but God, this person seems like so, and they love you. And God's like, like, you weren't in the room that I was in when they were there alone, and they thought nobody could hear them, but I could hear and see everything because I'm omnipresent. I'm omnipotent. So while you're thinking that this person is like this, you don't know their Achilles heel. You don't know their flaws. You don't know all of the things that they are working through. They're not even ready for somebody. You're not even ready for somebody, but they not ready for somebody either. Like, you're going to really have to wait on me. This is not it. And you might not understand. It might not make any sense. Like, you might think person is like the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know, but I'm telling you, this ain't it. And I'm like, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I've had moments in my life, and I'm only saying this to be real, because I know there's other women or men that have went through something like this, but sometimes we want some things because we can only see what's on the outside. We can only see, you know, we'll see that one relationship where people look super happy, and it's like, oh, relationship goals. Listen, the only relationship goal, the only relationship goal I have is the one with God. And then whatever appointed grace person God has for me, that's my relationship goal. I am not graced for a lot of things that these women deal with. And I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean, it could be something positive or, just like this little, quirk that their man has. And it's like, that's why that man's not grace for me because listen, I'm a real unique individual who's gonna need a real unique, specific type of man. And I know like when I say that, some people in my life that I'm cool with, they'll be like, oh, like people that I'm related to, they will be like, oh, you're just so hard on these guys, or you just are so like, you're not really. I mean, sometimes I really do need to give people more of a chance, but they'll say things like, you just, you just really need to like, no, just like don't be so picky. And I'm like, listen, when God is telling me what I deserve and I don't deserve anything less than God's best, I'm not dealing with somebody that's inconsistent when I can't build trust without a consistent person. I can't. And I don't mean consistently inconsistent. Let me get that straight. But for me, that's a huge, gigantic, enormous red flag when someone is inconsistent. Because for me to be the type of person that I am with all of the things that I've been through, I would not at all feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable if a person is inconsistent because I would feel like I can't rely on them. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know if people are going to say, well, that's ridiculous because people have things going on in their life. And I'm not the type of person who feels like I need to be somebody's whole life because I know people have things going on in their life. But I feel like when somebody wants something, they go for it. They don't just feel like, oh, you're just an afterthought or it's an option. They really feel like they're going to be intentional about trying to get to know who you are. And the consistency is something that helps me build trust. Specifically me. I don't know if that's like that for other women or other men in the world, but for me specifically, that's something that I would absolutely need. It's not like oh, I can just, push that under the rug. It's no big deal. Like, no, it's an enormous big deal to me. It's not just like oh yeah, let me just go ahead and just deal with the inconsistency. It's fine because everybody else deals with it. No. God told me I'm having something different. So I don't know what they serving, but I don't want to eat that. I just don't. And so you can call it picky, you can call it what you want, but I'm okay being single until I get what God desires for me to have in my life. And like I said, I don't expect any person to be perfect, but I feel like when people want something, they go for it. They don't just, regardless of how shy you are, regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of whatever else. And I don't mean like if they are dealing with, you know, some kind of really, really specific circumstance where, they really just are going through it and they have to be somewhere like even I don't know. Just to me, it just seems like when you want something, you go for it. And a good example of this, which will probably put it in hindsight for you or just allow you to be able to see it from my point of view. And I'm not trying to like change your perspective or anything like that. I'm just telling you, like, so you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. Is like, I'm going to say this and don't judge me. But listen, you know how, like, back in the day, or that one time you went to a club and you would go to the club and you would be dressed in whatever it is that you're dressed in. It'd be freezing outside. You'd be freezing. You'd be standing in line for about 30 minutes to an hour waiting to go in to see whatever performer or whatever it is at this place. And you looking good, smelling good, and you're just out and about, right? And you want to see this person so bad. You don't mind waiting 30 minutes. You don't mind waiting an hour. You don't mind freezing like your tail off to see this person because you want to see it, right? That's what you want. I feel like any guy that really truly wants me is going to value me. They're going to want to see me, so they won't mind doing whatever it is that they need to do to get to know me or to see me. That would be something that they want. When it's something that you want, you be willing to do stuff to get it. That's like one of the things that I heard, like somebody else say. I think it was like a pastor or something. He said something like, he gave this other example, and he said, "Yeah, you'll be willing to do this, like to wait out in line for tickets to a concert or something, but then when it comes to church, if it's a little bit of rain, you won't go, but but seriously, what you value, you will be willing to put forth an effort to get. Like if I really want something, if I want $1 million, I'm every day trying to grow, every day trying to develop, every day I'm trying to be, if I'm trying to become a multimillionaire, let me say it like that, because I'm not talking about, investing. I'm not talking about 401k and Roth IRAs or anything like that. I'm just talking about, in general. If I want to become, and all of that can equal up to make you a millionaire, because, all of that combined could equal $1 million, and that therefore you are a millionaire. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if I want to be a multimillionaire, right? I want to be a multimillionaire. I just want to make a bunch of money to help a bunch of people, and serve in whatever way it is that God wants me to and to give over 10% back to the church, or to God in any way, offering tithes, whatever, right? If I want to do that, I'm not going to go to sleep every day just sitting there watching, binge watching shows, and, just listening to people talk about people for like 4 hours a day, and I don't know, going to a party every night or every whatever. I'm going to do something that's constructive with my life. If I want it, I'm going to go for it, because I really want to be a multimillionaire to serve others. If that's what I truly, truly want, I'm going to have to hit the ground running. Like, I'm going to have to be about that work life. I'm going to have to really be putting forth an effort in my life. I can't just, if everybody else around me is not a multimillionaire and I want to be a multimillionaire, I'm going to have to do something different. That's just like for me with exercising. I know a lot of people that either don't exercise, or they exercise like maybe once or twice a week or something. Every once in a while I meet somebody who says they exercise 3 hours a day hardcore, and they drink a gallon of water, and they do all of this other stuff. I'm not doing that. I'm exercising so that my health is good, so that I can take care of my body. But I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to do all of that. I'm just trying to be consistent, and I'm trying to make sure I'm taking care of my body and I'm healthy, and I'm doing all of the things that I need to do. I'm feeding myself the nutrients that I need. And so what I was going to say is so if I am the type of person who doesn't know a lot of people who, whose body is toned, who really does care about their health, who wants to stay in shape, or stay there, maintain the shape that they're in, if I want to be one of those people who maintains the shape, stays toned, and is consistently keeping my body healthy and exercising and whatever else, I'm gonna need to exercise as often as I possibly can. For me, that's every day. I exercise every single day. I haven't met one other person that exercises every day at all. They'll say, "Oh, I exercise Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends I rest." Or they'll say, every once in a while I'll meet someone like that. Or they'll say something like, "Oh, I exercise, 3 days a week." But besides me, I don't know another person that exercises every day. And when I say that, I mean like swimming, cycling, gym, whatever else it is. So like today, I did a couple extra things, not on purpose. I I was thinking, oh yeah, I gotta exercise because it's Saturday or whatever. So let me exercise. So I go walk down to the beach. I do leg exercises and I walk back home. Then I went skating, which I forgot I was gonna go skating. So I spend an hour and a half skating. Then after that, after another hour passes by, I go and I swim for 30 minutes. I did not intentionally work out for 3 hours or for 2.5 hours or so, but that's just what happened today. But if I wasn't taking care of my body, if I wasn't eating the right foods for the most part, because sometimes I do have a cheat meal or something like that. And I say cheat meal, not cheat day, because a whole day could ruin your whole week, if you just overindulge. And so I might have like 2 slices of pizza, or, I might do something like that, but I'm not just going to constantly eat all bad foods because I know it's not helping my body. And when I exercise, it makes each crunch, I can feel every single crunch. It just doesn't feel good. It doesn't give me the energy that I need to continue to push forward. So if I'm If I'm trying to do something with my body, if I'm trying to do something with my finances, I need to be willing to put forth an effort for it. And that's how I feel like the men that want you will do. If they really want to be healthy, they'll put forth an effort. If they really care about their body, they'll put forth an effort. You don't see a guy saying, "Oh, I want a six pack and I want to, be healthy," saying, "Oh, but okay." You will see guys that say they want a six pack and sit on the couch and eat chips and not exercise at all, because some people want it but they're not willing to work for it. But if you want something bad enough, you're willing to do the work to get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel like men will be if they really want to try to get to know me. And I don't want anything less than God's best for me. You can call it, stuck up. You can call it, I have too much, I'm asking too much or whatever else. But listen, I don't want to be with somebody just to have a warm body with me. I don't want to just be with somebody just to be with somebody. If that was the case, I could be with somebody right now. I want to be with the person who God appointed for me, that is going to treat me the way that God intended for me to always be treated. That's what I want. Sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's hard, but what's the what is the like alternative? Mm, 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 mm. Alternative. I don't know why. I just could not think of what it was. Like the alternative, like what is the alternative? Whenever I think about, and I use this for myself all the time, and it might bless you, because every time I get into my life, or I get into my head and get into my life, every time I get into a moment in my life and I'm thinking like, okay, well, maybe I should just go back and do the things that I used to do, then it's like, okay, if I go back and do the things that I used to do, what is it going to benefit me? Am I going to get anything out of the situation? No. Is it going to make me feel more crappy? Yes. Is it going to advance me in my life at all? No. So what is the point of doing that? And then sometimes it will feel like, well, I'm doing all these things the right way, and it just seems like this isn't happening in my life. I'm doing all of these things right, and it just seems like this is happening, where it seems like people who are doing the wrong thing are advancing. So why not just go do the wrong thing? And then I'm like, well, what's the alternative? Am I going to constantly struggle and feel like crap? Because without God, I really feel like I'm missing everything. But with God, I feel peace and joy. I don't want to live like that. I want to live in peace and joy with God. I don't want to live in misery. And for me, that's what life without God was. It was miserable. I was trying to always fight these battles alone. I was always trying to find a solution for myself. I was always trying to find things that would fill a God-sized hole in my life, and nothing ever came close to it. I was putting God expectations on people when no person could ever be God. But with God in my life, no other person needs to be anything but themselves. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but for me, that's what helped. And that's what blesses me. I think of like me living the wrong way and what's going to happen in my life. I'm like, okay, I can continuously do the wrong thing and put all this effort into doing nothing, going nowhere, and being in the same position. Or I can continue to work at it. And I might be in the same season for a while, but it's no comparison. I would rather do the right thing than the wrong thing. It just, if I have a choice and I'm going to put all this effort into doing the wrong thing, why not put all this effort into doing the right thing? And so, and the more I just stay focused on God and I just do what I have to do and be obedient, God just the way that God comes through, the way that my God is set up, like he just be performing blessings on blessings on blessings. Like you don't even understand. Like my bank account just got blessed, and I'm saying that not to be like oh yeah, like, or make it seem like it's about finances, but God was like, I need you to give this. And I was like, God, you want me to give this? And this is like this is a, I don't want to say a struggle season because I didn't have to struggle. God provided all my needs. It wasn't that I needed anything. I just wanted extra stuff, you know? And God was like, this is why I needed you to go through this period, because you don't need to be buying any of that. You don't need to be doing this with this money right here. This money is specifically for serving. This money is specifically for helping somebody else. So, although it would be nice to go this place, although it would be nice to buy this thing, do you need it? And I was like, no. And God was like, exactly. So be obedient. And I was like, yes, Lord. So, so I was obedient and I served in with the finance part. And the next thing I know, the money comes back like twofold. And I'm like, okay, I see what you did there because I was obedient. You just decided to bless me. And I'm like, thank you, God. I wasn't holding my breath and I didn't think that God wouldn't come through, but you know how we get that spiritual amnesia. Oh, and here's another thing. So I went back and I watched this video from 2021, Pastor Mike Todd, and he said spiritual amnesia. That's where I got that from. So this is not my quote. I mean, this is not my thing. The meaning is my thing. But he said that word before. His meaning was spiritual amnesia for, I don't know what it was for, but it was something totally different than what I use it for. So I guess if they ever make it like a definition, his version will be the first one because he's the one that came up with that term. And then mine's would be the one after, underneath, because it means something totally different. My spiritual amnesia means when God is continuously blessing you and you go through a struggle season, or you go through a season where it's like, okay, God, I'm doing all of this and I don't see anything happening. You do stuff in your life and you just do it to be obedient, or you just are living your life and God blesses you out of nowhere, or he performs miracle signs and wonders. He does like something miraculous in your life. He literally blesses you and he moves you in positions in your life you don't even know how it happened. And God's done stuff for you in the past, but for some reason you got spiritual amnesia. You completely forgot about it. That's what my definition of spiritual amnesia means. His meant something else, and I can't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, that's not even the same thing. But I was like, why did I come up with that? But anyways, but that's where I heard that term before. So that is not my term. That is Pastor Mike Todd's term. So I want to make sure I say that, because on the one of the videos I said something like, oh yeah, this is this thing that I came up with called spiritual amnesia. But listen, okay, apparently I heard it probably in 2022, last year, maybe the year before, because that's when I rededicated my life to God. It was like 2021, 2020. At the end of 2020, I was kind of like, okay, God, I got to do something different. And I gave my life to God right there on my birthday. And I was just like, I can't do this myself. Like, my way is obviously not working. I did everything that I possibly could to just do things the way that I wanted to do them. I was living the life, doing the things that I wanted to do because I thought I would be satisfied, and nothing I do satisfies me. Nothing I do is enough. Nothing that I'm trying to do is blessing me or moving anything in my life. I'm doing all of these things and it just seems like I'm blocking myself. Like nothing is happening in my life, no matter what I do, no matter how hard I work. It just seems like I'm in the same thing, like I'm on this perpetual cycle of nothingness, is what my life felt like. And I was like, God, I can't do this alone. I need you. I mean, I called out to God with tears in my eyes on the floor. Like, it was one of those moments. And I know not everybody probably has a moment like that, but that was my lowest point in life. And I knew I couldn't do it alone anymore. I knew I couldn't just try to make it seem like I was going to be the author of my life. Like, I was going to be the person who just made everything happen the way that I wanted it to happen. And I could just use like these person, places, or things that was going to fulfill a God-sized hole. You know, I just kept on looking for something that would fill me, that would make me fill that void, or, you know, I don't know. It just, everything that I was doing was wrong, and I knew it. And I mean, from the way that I behaved, to the things that I said, to how I carried myself, like, like I wasn't the worst person, but I wasn't a Christ-like person either. You know, I just kind of felt like I'm just gonna do what I want when I want to do it. You know, I wasn't living for God; I was living for myself, and it was not working. It was not working at all. And when I had called out to God, He heard me. There's like this scripture in the Bible. I don't know exactly what part of the Bible it's in. You're gonna have to look it up for yourself, but it says that when my children come to me and they call on my name, I'll be there. In their lowest point or whatever, when they call on me, I will be there. And it was so true, because I really felt like I didn't know where else to turn. I couldn't call, you know, a family member. I couldn't call a friend. I couldn't call anybody. They would just be like, "Oh, girl, that's nothing. Oh, well, that's just life." Or they would have came up with some sort of like cute little cliche terminology or one word sentence that they feel would resolve my entire life. And it was only something that God could do. It wasn't something that any person could ever remedy. No person could ever solve the problem that I felt in my soul. It was only something that God could do, you know? And so when I called on God, I literally felt him say, "Get up." You know, get up. And when the first video, I was like, "God, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what to do from here. Like, you know, I'm giving you my life, but I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. Like, I've been trying things my way. I've been trying to do things the way that I want to do them, because I wanted to be with this guy that I knew was no good for me. I wanted to be, you know, doing all of these things that weren't good for my body, weren't good for my mind, weren't good for my soul, weren't good for my spirit. I was using all of these things like they were really going to fill God's place, and nothing was ever going to fill God's position ever, you know? And God just, first video that comes up on my feed, and I don't know why I had my phone with me, but I had my phone, and the first video that came up was Tony Gaskins Jr. and all of the things that I had been feeling since like middle school, when I first like started crushing or whatever, or liking people. It was just like, this is how I want to be treated. And I would see other girls or women, young women, just look at me and like kind of turn their nose up, like, "Oh, she thinks she's good, she's better than me," or, "Oh, she thinks this, like, why would any guy ever act like this? This is just the way it is." You know, people will always try to tell me, "No, you have to settle for this. No, this is the only thing that you could ever get in your life." You know, always. That's all I would ever hear. And God literally spoke to me and was like, "I never intended for you to have to go through this." Oof. I mean, when God said that, I was already crying, but I started crying even more. Like, I was ugly crying. And I say that not in like a, like, I think I'm ugly, but in a, like when you got the tears and it's just the whole the wreckage of it all, like it was really disastrous. It really looked horrible. I really was like, I was doing one of those. I was for real. I was really crying for real. And so then after that video came up, and it reiterated all of the things that I've been saying since then, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy, like, "No guy's gonna do that. Why would you ever think that you could be treated like that? Why would you?" You know, people would always try to stop what I really thought, how I wanted to be treated, or how I wanted to live my life, or the things that I wanted to do. Like, the adversary would always try to make me put up a wall between people when I needed people to live out my purpose, you know? And so I just, whew, when I felt that, it was like this confirmation that I needed. Like, it is possible. Like I don't know if you know, but when somebody says something that you think or that you believe, and it's like, finally somebody understands what I'm like, people would literally look at me like I had 5 heads or something. They were like, "What?" no man's gonna, why would you think that this is how men are? They just act like, and I'm like, what? And I felt so crazy because I was like, this can't be it. Like, this can't be it. Are you serious? Like, this is how we supposed to be living our life for real? And people would just be like, well, and I would just see a whole bunch of people just tolerate a bunch of nonsense, or be miserable in relationships, and I was just like, this is just what it is. People are just always miserable. I guess this is what it is. But when I got that confirmation, it was like, bet. Like, for real, it was like, bet, 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 bet. And I was like, okay, all right. I mean, you ain't got to tell me but one time. And I mean, I'm not always the strongest, but I know what I want. And I definitely want to be treated the way that God intended for me to be treated. I'm not trying to be treated anything less than that. I'm not trying to settle for anything less than God's best for me. And you could say, call it what you want, call it what you want. That's that's what I know. And I'm just praying that God gives me the strength to just hold on and wait. Because sometimes I'll be like impatient, but that's just the struggle that I have. It's not because I think I deserve anything less. It's just because I don't feel like waiting, even though I know I should wait. And so because I know I should, I just work on waiting more. And I work on my patience and being more patient and waiting with, joy and a servant's mindset, and not just in a I want this, so I need to have this now, kind of mindset. And the next thing that came up, this is so funny. Like, He literally lined everything up that I needed so that I could heal, so that I could be better, so that I can, I can really, He gave me everything that I needed to heal, to grow, to feel content, to piece me back together from the ground up. Like, everything that I needed to do, that to break off of me, he allowed me to do in that season. He showed me that Tony Gaskins Jr. video. And then after that, the next video that came up was Girl Get Up by Sarah Jakes Roberts. When I heard that, and God, literally the words that God said was get up, I was like, and I mean, I never heard him that clear in my entire life until that moment when I really gave myself to him, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I can't be in another relationship like this. I can't, you know. I was like, I don't ever want to be treated like this again. I don't ever want to tolerate this again. I don't ever want to settle for anything like this again. I don't ever want to feel unappreciated, be miserable, living in like, I don't know if I'm going to have to be single. And this is why I thought I was just going, God was going to say, okay, be single for the rest of your life. Like, he waited though. He didn't tell me right away I would be in a relationship. He waited like 6 months and then was like, no, you're going to be in a relationship. Like, it's good that you like being alone, but listen, this is what I have for you. And I was like, okay, like, and so he, Girl Get Up, Sarah Jakes Roberts, that video came on, and this was the first time I ever heard her speak. This is the first time I knew that preachers were on YouTube. Like, I'm serious. Like, I really had no idea at all, and it was just like right on time. I heard that, and while I'm crying, and God is guiding me up, and I'm listening to the first thing, and I feel confirmation. I look into the mirror, and I'm like, bet. Like, I don't know if I said bet, but I said something like, it's on. Like, this is possible. Like, I can really be treated like God's child. Like, I can really be treated like a woman of God. I can really be treated with respect, with honor and respect. I can really be appreciated or loved in the way that God intended for me to be loved. Like, this is a real thing. And I know I say this, and there's probably a lot of women that watch this or that are like, oh yeah, of course I knew that. But how many healthy relationships do you see in your life? Probably like one or two, right? Exactly. That's not enough for women. Like, you might be one of the ones in like a, 2-parent household with just, you never had to really deal with anything like that. Your dad spoke life into you every single day or something. I don't know what your deal is, but I'm so happy that you lived whatever type of life that you lived. And I think that is great and amazing. And that's what I want all of us to have. like the division, the separation, all that stuff. I really would like for it to end. I I would like if I could do anything, if I had some kind of like power, and I don't mean like power like God's power or power like magic power, but I mean like if I could just wave a hand or something. I don't know if I should really say it like that, but if I could just imagine and then it come to fruition, like it just be the thing that just happens out of nowhere, it would be that everybody's family would be, people would be in two loving parent households with healthy parents who actually worked on themselves, who actually got the healing that they needed. They didn't just hop into another relationship, who really took time to really learn themselves, who really was with the person who God appointed for them and not just the person they wanted because they looked good or they had one thing in common or whatever else. And they raised their child together in a household where they spoke life into their child. They didn't blame their child for all of their downfalls. They didn't talk down to them. They weren't trying to make them grow up too fast. They really allowed the child to be a child and feel loved and cherished and have the things that they needed. If I could just wave my hand or imagine and just make something like that happen, that would be what I want for the entire world. I want every single person to grow up like that. And I don't mean like we got to be perfect robots and just walk around with no problems and no testimonies. I just mean that if there is a way for me to get every person to have life spoken into them, I would do it. I would, that would be the thing, the one thing that I would ask for is for every person to feel appreciated and wanted and needed and know their worth, to love themselves the way that God loves them. I mean, you'll never be able to love like God, but it's a really good example. Like we could never be God, but we can use that example and implement it in our lives. Like God wants, you know, like God would intend for us to. That's the thing that I would want. So if you were one of those people who just grew up with a great childhood and and I'm not saying I didn't have a great childhood, I really did. I'm just saying that, not everybody is going to see things from the perspective of a perfect mindset. People really go through things in their life. Sometimes we choose the wrong person and that person breaks us down so much we start devaluing ourselves. And then we end up in all these horrible, wrong relationships because we didn't either give ourselves a chance to heal or that person broke us down so much that we don't believe in ourselves anymore. And so, although you might be one of the lucky ones who just met the first person you met, you never got your heart broken and it never affected you in any way, then congratulations and kudos to you, because every single person I know, almost every person I know has been through some sort of heartbreak and it has affected them in some sort of way. I think it's so great. If you really did not have to deal with that, I wish all of us didn't have to deal with that. And so and for real, like I really do mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really, when I see people happy, when I see people really loving on each other the right way, when I really see like people getting happy, getting healed and, being happy and content with themselves, when I see people healing, when I see people growing, when I see people learning and trying to become a better person, not perfect, but becoming better, it really does something to my soul. Like it really feeds my soul. It allows me to just feel like, I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels amazing. I just love seeing people happy. And if I could do anything, it would definitely be speak life into everybody. Like I earlier today, this is how corny I am. This is how corny I am, and this is why some people are like, really, really. But but I really feel like today I was walking by certain people, I was gonna say, oh yeah, girl, I love your hair, because this one girl had braids and it was like black and then it was red, but it was like mixed together and it looked so cool. And I was like, that's awesome. Then this guy was walking by. I try not to give guys compliments because they think I'm hitting on them. So I mean, guys probably need a lot of compliments and life spoken into them, but I try to be real cautious when I do that because sometimes, it could turn out real horrible. And so I try to make sure that it's mostly women. And if it's a guy, it's like a family member or something. I try not to just toot other guys' horns and be like, oh yeah, unless they have on a really nice pair of shoes. Like that's one thing. Like I love like different types of tennis shoes, and then for me, like I love different types of heels and stuff. And so if it's like something different that I like that's unique or it's a cool style, then I like that. And so if somebody's got on like some Scottie Pittmans or something, or like some Dunk Lows, or they got on like some unique Chucks that were like, or whatever, it could be something like that. But I'll be like, oh wow, like, man, those shoes are so cool. And they'll be like, oh, thank you. And I just keep walking and I don't turn back around because I don't want them to think I'm hitting on them. But but I'll do stuff like that. Like if I could, I would just like pay a compliment to every single person I pass by because I'm that type of person. Like I really do like seeing people smile and light up and feel like appreciated or seen, or know that they're people, that I see them, like really that they're not just another person. Really that I truly like, I truly care about people. And so when I go past people and I say something nice to them and they're just like, "Oh my gosh." Like it's like it made their whole day. Like I don't know. That's it does something to me on the inside. It's just like, whew. you know. It's just that thing. And so I'm not going to make this be too long. So let's go ahead and say in conclusion, we really, and I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but we really need to start acting like we know that God is who he said he is. Like sometimes we forget because things aren't going our way when we want it to happen, how we want it to happen, the way that we want it to happen, everything. We got this whole idea in our head, like how our life is going to go. But did you consult with God? Did you check with God and see if that's what he had for you? Because that God that you want is probably no good for you. And I don't mean he's a no good guy. I mean he's no good for you and there's something else better or someone else that's grace for you. And better doesn't mean he's a better person. Better just means he's better for you. Because you might not need to be worried about this other guy who will not be able to make you feel like, I don't know, there's like certain things that people do that allows me to respect some people more than other people. So like there's this guy who is like super respectful, and he would say things like, what is it that you would like to do? Or he would say things like, and it's not just all about me, it's just about the thought of thinking of someone else. It's the thought of like, I'm going to be real and honest about this thing. Even though it's not what you want to hear, I'm going to say it because this is how I truly feel. And it's like, okay, like there's this person that I knew of that I was cool with, or, that I met, was like one of the few guys in my entire life that I respect. Like to get my respect, you really got to be about that like intentionality life. Like you got to really, you know, and this guy for sure, like no, we're not together or anything like that, and no, I'm still single and everything. But like there's nothing that made me respect this person more than them being honest and being considerate of somebody else. Really truly caring about somebody else's well-being, you know? And so I don't know, but yeah. So when you are thinking about the type of life that you want to live, make sure you consult with God and you're checking with him to see if this is what he wants for you in your life. Because sometimes we really do get these thoughts in our head, like we want to be in this job at this place, and the job is going to wear you out, it's going to stress you out, it's going to turn you into an evil person because you're going to be so on edge and feel so insecure there because the boss is going to be beating up on you, verbally, because it's always going to feel like you're going to lose your job if you don't work 3 hours over, or whatever else. And so you really have to be careful what you're praying for and make sure that you are checking with God to see if this is what he wants you to be, if he wants you to be in this position with this person at this place. And when you check with God, I really feel like it'll remedy a lot of our like, we didn't reach our goal kind of thing. Like, was it your specific goal or was it the goal that God had for you for your life? Because I didn't have a goal of being a single parent. But God said, listen, you need to be single in this season so that I can work on you. And I'm exactly where I need to be. You are exactly where you need to be. You may not be exactly where you want to be yet, And if God has said you're going to be in such and such position or doing such and such with your business or whatever else, or in such and such relationship, know that he's a God that keeps his promises. He's a God that he cannot lie. He will not lie. So if God promised you it, it's on the way. You just have to be patient. And like I said, even for me, this is not my season to be in a relationship. But when God's ready, I will be in one. When God's ready, he will send the appointed person who is grace for me. And I don't want him a second sooner. When I say a prayer sometimes at night, and I'll have a moment and I'm just like, God, thank you so much for the single season. I'm so appreciative that you allowed me to be able to go all these places, do all these things, learn all these skills, without having to like break the time down between somebody else. And I don't mean it like if it's a person who God graced for my life, I wouldn't be willing to do that. Of course, I would want to spend time with that person, but right now I don't have to make an extra 30 minutes, hour, or whatever the time is for that person. I can just kind of live my life, and I'm going to continue to live my life when that person's in my life, but I'm trying to take advantage of it right now while I can. And so I'm just like telling God how thankful I am. And I'm like, I'll say this thing and people are going to think it's so weird, but I'll say this thing when I'm praying and I'll say, God, I can wait for the time when you bring the person who's grace for me into my life. And I know that's like a weird thing to say, but I say it because I don't want the person prematurely, because that would just be exactly what the adversary wants. That wouldn't be what God wants for me. I would, if it was prematurely, it wouldn't be when I'm ready. It wouldn't be maybe when the person is ready. Maybe the person has some things that he had to go through first before we could get to each other. I don't know, but I definitely can wait for whatever it is that God has for me. Am I patiently waiting? Am I being as patient as I can? For the most part, yeah. Sometimes I have my days. But I really do try to think of it like if it was time, God would give it to me right now. Or if it was time and I wasn't in my purpose, I wasn't doing something else, God wasn't working on me or the other person, then we would be together. So obviously there's more, I got work to do. Obviously I got other things that I need to be doing in my life right now. And so I'm allowing God to guide my footsteps so that I can be exactly where he wants me to be, not where I want myself to be. Because I might say I want to be a multimillionaire and God's like, you're not a good steward of $1,000 that I'm giving you, or the thousandaire. Like, you're a thousandaire and you're not a good steward of being your money. Why would I give you multi-millions? Like, you're going to have to get it together, get your finances in order. And then I might be able to bless you with more because you're a good steward of a few things. So we really have to acknowledge the fact that God is who he says he is. Acknowledge the fact that if God made a promise to us, he's going to keep it. And we have to learn to be a good steward of the things that we have so that God can bless us with so much more.